What's going on, Skeleton Crew? It's me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoiler Show, y'all. And I don't know about you guys, but I think there's something fishy going on with the planet at Aton. I mean, don't you guys feel like there's this weird, Big Brother type of 1984 energy going on here? Something just ain't right. And I think I know exactly what it is. Let's talk about it, my friends. Alright, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Based on these first two episodes of Skeleton Crew, I'm pretty sure this whole planet that these four lost kids are looking to return to is actually a planet of imprisoned people secretly serving the rise of the First Order by handling the enormous amount of money needed to fund the First Order's operations, while also secretly training the youths to become the First Order's workforce when they grow up. That's right, the entire planet of Aton is secretly serving the will of the recently deceased Emperor Palpatine, who apparently got tossed down the reactor shaft by that silly cyborg samurai only 5 years before the events of this series. And yeah, I know what some of you guys may be thinking. MT, weren't you paying attention to the first episode of the show when that Undersecretary Farah lady spoke to the class? She specifically said that the main function of the entire planet is to keep the Republic peaceful and strong, not the First Order, the Republic. Yeah, I know what she said, and yet I'm still sticking to what I said, and I've got my reasons. First of all, I know some of you guys are already thinking this, but there is something seriously wrong with everything about how this planet is run. Not only are all of these people constantly being watched by droids whose heads are literal security cameras, but all the kids on the planet are clearly being brainwashed into choosing the lamest, most boring careers at an extremely young age, while simultaneously discouraging these children from following dreams or ambitions that do not align with their planetary government's vision. And on top of that, did you see how completely ignorant those children were about any and all elements of the galaxy that existed outside of their planet? When they first arrived at that spaceport full of pirates, those kids were being exposed to alien races that they've never even dreamed of before. Almost like none of the goddamn adults on that planet wanted them to know anything about how the galaxy operated outside of their little bubble. And when Wim's dad went to go tell those security droids about how the kids hopped on a starship and blew right past the planet's enigmatic barrier, the droids tell him that such a thing should be impossible because no starships are permitted in or out of the planet's atmosphere ever, and doing so would apparently be an egregious offense punishable by law. So yeah, something is definitely not right at all with the planet at Aton, because nothing about how this planet is run reflects the ideals of personal autonomy and overall freedom that the very founders of the New Republic envisioned the galaxy to have after Palpatine spent decades smothering the galaxy with authoritarianism and despair. So, this all being said, the first question that I want to try to answer here is how New Republic leaders like Leia Organa could possibly be involved in shaping such a passively oppressive society in the name of making their growing republic stronger. Because I straight up believe that this barrier around the planet at Aton is specifically being used to keep all the good leaders of the New Republic completely ignorant to what all these sketchy leaders in the New Republic government are up to in the shadows. Because we've actually seen barriers like these used in Star Wars before, specifically in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, a show that takes place in the same time period that the Skeleton Crew does. In Chapter 18 of The Mandalorian, Grogu and Din pay a visit to the decimated planet of Mandalore, with Palpatine's violent bombing of the planet during the Great Purge of Mandalore radically altering the planet's surface. However, one of the consequences of the Purge of Mandalore was that it inevitably led to the entire planet being covered by a perpetual storm. And this is what Din had to say about that storm.
Looks like the fusion bombs from the Purge disrupted the magnetic field around the planet. From the surface, we won't be able to communicate with anyone out of atmosphere, so we have to be careful. Down here, we're completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy.
Completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy, just like the people of Aton are in this show. This is why, when the kids are flying away from the planet, they have to navigate through a sea of clouds that Neil refers to as the barrier, which is exactly what Grogu and Din also had to do in Chapter 18 to reach the planet's surface. So, this all being said, the barrier is likely just a storm of electromagnetic interference, keeping anybody from the surface from shooting signals out, and any signals from outside the planet from getting in. And that is exactly how the remnants of the Empire like to have their secret planetary installations completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy so that nobody can interfere with their work. Moff Gideon was cooking up a whole factory of Force-sensitive clones on the planet Mandalore, and nobody knew that he was doing that in large part due to the electromagnetic barrier keeping communications from the planet from reaching anyone outside. And let's not forget about Emperor Palpatine and his own cloning experiments that he was conducting on the planet Exegol, another planet completely covered in seemingly never-ending electromagnetic storms that gave Palpatine the ability to build his entire First Order fleet without arousing any sort of detection from any planets nearby. And if you ever played the video game Jedi Fallen Order, then you'll be familiar with how the Jedi Cal Kestis had trouble using his communication devices due to an electromagnetic storm hovering over an Imperial mining installation on the planet Zepho. But anyways, I believe that it is because of this barrier around Aton that the planet has been able to remain a secret from pretty much everyone without the exact coordinates, including the populist party of the New Republic Senate. For those of you who don't know, after the death of Palpatine, the New Republic Senate was established and would eventually divide into two different parties with two radically different ideologies. There were the populists who believed that every planet should be able to govern themselves freely without the meddling of a greater galactic government, which is pretty much how things used to be in the days of the prequel trilogy when Padme was a senator, which is why her daughter Leia would become one of the New Republic's most well-known populists. However, a group called the Centrist believed that the New Republic needed to take some cues from Emperor Palpatine and centralize all political and military power into one singular powerful galactic government made to advance law and order, because they felt like military strength was the only true path to lasting galactic peace. But little did everyone know that a good chunk of the members of the Centrist Party were actually secretly supporting and helping fund the rise of the First Order in the shadows, in the hopes that the First Order could one day wrestle control of the New Republic from Leia and all of her hippie populist friends. This all being said, let's go back to episode 1 and listen to Undersecretary Farah talk about how the future careers of these kids will aid the New Republic, something that Farah refers to as the Great Work.
Once you're assigned a career path, you'll become part of our planet Aton's contribution to the Great Work, keeping the Republic peaceful and strong.
To Undersecretary Farah, the great work that Aton must strive for is to help keep the New Republic peaceful and strong, tenets strongly associated with the centrist ideology. This means that in order to keep the New Republic strong enough to keep the peace, the next generation cannot be free-thinking dreamers who want to race speeders or become Jedi. Oh no, you've got to pick a boring-ass career like a senior statistical accountant or an analyst that makes you yet another cog to a much greater galactic machine. And I believe the greater galactic machine that Undersecretary Farah and all the government agents of Aton serve is actually the First Order. Again, the Skeleton Crew TV show takes place only like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. That's 25 years before the First Order would blow up the New Republic Senate in The Force Awakens. This means that 25 years later after this, these kids in that school would be around the same age as all those First Order soldiers who were on their little computers helping the First Order fire Starkiller Base. And that's exactly what I believe these kids in the Skeleton Crew were meant to be. Future First Order soldiers brainwashed into believing that they were contributing to the overall health of a galaxy that resists law and order. And I also believe that this is foreshadowed in the very emblem that all the kids wear on their school uniforms. If you look at the symbol for the school, which has the words Aton Middle School Gamma written in Aurebesh in the outer circle, you'll see what looks like a design of a tree or a leaf hidden behind a symbol that many believe to be the last letter of the Greek alphabet Omega. However, I'm not one of those people. I don't think that this is the Omega symbol at all, but actually a reference to the astrological sign of Libra, a symbol heavily associated with the concept of order. due to the symbol having been designed after the scales of justice held by the goddess Themis in Greek mythology. When I see this AT-ATN emblem, all I see is the symbol for order blocking the view of the tree behind it, much like how I believe the First Order barrier around AT-ATN keeps the planet out of the view of the rest of the galaxy. If you guys have been following my career for a while now, then you might be familiar with a video that I did at my old job called Star Wars: Every Galactic Empire Sith Symbol Explained. In that video, I explain how every symbol of every army that has been associated with Emperor Palpatine was meant to symbolize that army's greatest weapon of fear, aka Palpatine's super weapons. For example, the symbol for Palpatine's Galactic Empire was literally just the hypermatter reactor core at the center of the Death Star. You know, the thing that the rebels had to blow up in the first movie. And the symbol for the First Order and the sequel trilogies was literally a trapped star, illustrating how Starkiller Base consumed entire stars for power. And in Episode 9, the diamond-shaped symbol for Palpatine's Final Order fleet was literally one of the Final Order fleet's Zeiston-class Star Destroyers. And hell, even the logo for Star Wars Battlefront 2's Inferno Squad was straight up just the lasers of Operation Cinder destroying a planet. This all being said, just like all of those logos, I believe the logo for AT-ATN holds a similar type of hidden truth, with that truth being the secret influence of the First Order. But anyways, like I alluded to earlier, on top of training the next generation of First Order soldiers, it also seems like they're training these kids to learn how to handle the First Order's funding as well. Funding that the First Order receives on the low from all of those centrist planets on the New Republic Council, oftentimes through the use of space smugglers in order to keep their activity secret. I mean, just listen to what these kids are learning in school, man.
By substituting error-prone ledger entries with free-floating variable tables in which a series of matrices are organized by a labeling algorithm.
Like, this teacher literally sounds like she's teaching them how to be bankers. And speaking of space smugglers, this is where I believe the very first scene of the series comes into play. I think a bunch of space pirates got word that the centrists of the New Republic were smuggling all of their money to one of their many hidden First Order preparation planets and decided to steal all that money for themselves. But for some reason, all of the cash, save for one singular credit, was taken before they could acquire it, likely leading to Jude Law's character from being demoted from pirate captain to pirate prisoner thanks to a mutiny by his former right-hand man Brutus. But not only this, but this could also serve to explain why Wim has currency from the era of the prequels, as the symbol for the Galactic Republic can be seen on one of his golden credits. Because you gotta remember, the First Order was always part of Palpatine's contingency plan to regain power should he ever lose it. So chances are, as soon as Palpatine took over the galaxy in the prequels, he was also busy picking a number of planets to serve as hidden indoctrination camps meant to crank out soldiers and accountants meant to serve his new army should he ever die. It's a classic Palpatine move, to be honest. Like, that dude was obsessed with making sure that he had a way to avenge his own self should he ever die and lose the entire galaxy. So those Galactic Republic credits that Wim and all the adults of AT-ATN have could all be the funding that Palpatine hoarded from the days of the prequels, eventually becoming the main currency of all those on AT-ATN once the Galactic Republic was phased out, because no one was really using those type of credits anymore. It was all Imperial credits. And if I had to guess, AT-ATN is probably stacked with money from both the prequel and original trilogy eras, which is why AT-ATN has become a legend in the eyes of the pirate community. That shit was basically Treasure Planet. This whole series is basically Treasure Planet. Why won't Disney just make a live-action Treasure Planet already, man? That shit would be fire flames. But anyways, all in all, it's definitely looking like Skeleton Crew was purposely made to show the audience how the First Order got their funding and fighting force through decades of preparation and sneakiness, very much continuing the type of First Order setup that shows like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka have been doing with their narratives. And I cannot wait to see more because I'm really digging the Goonies vibe of this entire series. Like, I feel like there's something really truly special about this project in particular, and I'm extremely glad that Lucasfilm and Disney decided to let John Watts tell such a narrative in such a fun and classic way. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys can follow me at Mastertainment on Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, wherever I am on the internet. But most importantly, follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube by hitting that subscribe button and hitting that notification notification bell to get notifications for every time we upload a video. But yes, you guys are amazing. I love you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.